What's happening with y'all? So for those who want to know, here's my fight review, my fight breakdown of Terence Bud Crawford versus Israil Madrimov. First of all, I want to say, hell of an event. This was a real event. This is how you promote a fight. This is how you put an event together. So shout out to Big Turkey Al Sheik, man. I enjoyed all 8-9 hours of it. Every fight on that card was fire, except for maybe the David Morrell fight. I wasn't really too impressed with that fight, but overall, man, everything else, it was fire, man. Great matchmaking. All them fights was like 50-50 fights, and I loved every bit of it. But Israil Madrimov versus Terence Bud Crawford. From right off rip, I saw it was a lot of technical, thinking going on in the ring, a lot of maneuver and foot placement and all of that, right? I could see all of that going on in the ring, right? And Terence Bud Crawford, we know that he usually comes out and he's a slow starter. He likes to see what you're going to do, and then he'll capitalize off of your mistakes. First thing I seen is Bud Crawford, he switched in the first round. He switched in the first round, and we usually don't see him switch that early. He usually takes about, 2 or 3, probably like 3-4 rounds sometimes before he switches. He switched real early with Madrimov. Madrimov is a switch hitter also. I noticed that Bud was waiting for Madrimov to make a mistake, get wild so he can counter him. And Madrimov wasn't doing that. Madrimov, he continued to move, doing all that jerky, just that weird shit, that offbeat movement. And it seemed like that, Bud was trying to get his rhythm down. He was trying to get Madrimov's rhythm down. He was using this jab, but he wasn't really using a power jab like he was with Errol Spence. He would throw a jab here and there. And so when I seen that, I said, okay, he's still trying to figure Madrimov out, right? And it took him probably like to the third round, maybe fourth. I can't really think because I only seen the fight once, right? And Madrimov caught Bud with some shit. And when you catch Bud natural reaction is to get his lick back. And so when Bud got his lick back and he noticed that he could get his lick back, that's when Bud started getting more comfortable in the fight, letting his hands go a little bit more, right? Madrimov, he was still doing all of that crazy movement, but he wasn't letting his hands go. He would throw a couple shots here and there, but he was doing a lot of feinting and he was doing a lot of that weird movement. And that shit was getting on my nerves because I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, I ain't seen a fighter move like that, right? And I'm like, man, when is this dude really gonna open up so Bud can start letting his hands go? Because I knew that's what Bud was looking for. He was looking for them counters, and Madrimov wasn't giving it to him, Now, later on in the fight, when they both got warmed up, I noticed that the movement, I wouldn't say it was giving Terence Crawford a problem, but it was making Terence not want to just, let his hands go like he usually do, right? Not want to take the chances because I'm looking at Bud and you could tell that he's fighting cautious as well. Both of them is really fighting real cautious. Madrimov, by this time, he's felt Terence Bud Crawford's power, so he don't want to go in there and get caught with some shit. And then Bud, he know that Madrimov is strong. He know that he in a whole different weight class, so he wasn't comfortable taking the chances that he really take, right? And so it was a very cautious fight fought by both fighters. But I mean, Bud, whenever he wanted to really assert himself and let his hands go, he was able to do that. Now, he wasn't able to catch Madrimov with the same hard shots that he's able to catch with everybody else. Because with everybody else, when Bud catch you with a shot, he'll come back with 2 or 3 more in combinations, right? And that's how he hurt his opponents, right? He was able to catch Madrimov with like 1, maybe 2 shots at a time. And Madrimov, with his footwork and his quickness, was able to get him up out of range. So Bud will have to reset. And then he'll start that jerky movement and feints again. And, Bud could never just get fully comfortable. But he was catching Madrimov. And to me, for people that say this fight was close and it was razor thin, the fight wasn't really close to me. And for people that think that, well, Bud was getting hit a lot, we don't usually see, but man, Bud looked the same that he did at 147. Bud was getting hit the same amount that he usually gets hit with. Like, if you go back and look at Bud Crawford, because people was tripping that his eye was swole. Kell Brook swole up Bud Crawford's eye within like 2 or 3 rounds. Bud don't always look like he did when he fought Errol Spence. Like, come on now. And I think a lot of him looking like he did against Errol Spence is that Errol Spence just wasn't on that level that night. You know what I'm saying? Due to whatever it may have been. And I also think that Errol Spence, the style matchup was just in favor of Bud Crawford. Errol Spence, he go in low, he try to get to your body, and he lunges a lot. And that plays right into Terence Bud Crawford's playbook, because Bud, he uses his footwork, he's quick, and he's a counter puncher. So when you make a mistake, he's gonna capitalize on that, right? Madrimov, he wasn't making those mistakes. And when Madrimov did make a mistake, his feet were fast enough to get out of range, so Bud Crawford couldn't catch him, you know, with those counter punches like he was catching Errol Spence with. And like I said, man, Madrimov was fighting very patient and cautious. He wasn't letting his hands go like that, you know? And when he did let his hands go, like I said, it was 1 or 2 punches at a time. He wasn't pressing Bud out like that. So I think that Bud won the fight, and I gave Madrimov maybe 2-3 rounds. 3 at the most. I don't see a lot of rounds that Madrimov was winning like all these people was claiming. Like, I think people just so surprised that Bud didn't go in there and get the knockout. I picked Bud to get the knockout. I damn sure thought that Bud Crawford was going to get the knockout, right? But just because he didn't get the knockout don't mean that it was a close fight. Wasn't close to me. Now, was it a domination like we seen Bud do against Spence? Hell no. But like I said, man, if you look at Madrimov's face, he got touched up. He was getting touched up. And Bud Crawford, yes, when Madrimov did decide to let his hands go, he was catching Bud. So I'm looking at Madrimov like, bro, you the bigger man. This is your division. When you do let your hands go, right? You're catching Bud, but then you don't continue to let your hands go. And that let me know that he was afraid to get caught. That what Bud was catching him with them counters, he ain't like the feel of that shit. So that's why he wouldn't let his hands go. That's why he wasn't aggressive, and he was very patient, because he was fighting not to get his ass knocked out also. And Bud, he play off of his opponents. You know what I'm saying? That's just how he fight. He waits for you to make mistakes, and then if he's stronger than you and he know the fight is close, he just gonna overwhelm you and he gonna get you up out of there. Now, when Bud did try to overwhelm Madrimov and he was catching Madrimov with some shit, the shots that Bud usually catch fighters with, and he get him up out of there, Madrimov was able to take those shots. Madrimov was able to grab Bud and wrap him up, and Bud wasn't able to just push him off like he does other opponents, right? Because I don't think Bud was stronger than Madrimov. And 9 times out of 10, Bud has always been stronger than everybody he get in the ring with. So, you know, overall, it was a good fight. Like I said, I think that Bud won the fight comfortably. And Madrimov, you know, he's a solid fighter. He's a solid fighter. But I still don't think that he's the best fighter in the division. I still think that Jermell Charlo, man, and Terence Crawford, that's the best fight in the division that can happen on paper right now. I think that Tim Tszyu is a tough fight for Terence Crawford. I think it's a lot of fights at 154 that Bud Crawford is going to have problems with. But Bud, man, he's still a hell of a fighter. He displayed that again, and he did what he was supposed to do. He went in there and he won decisively, and it wasn't that close to me. Like I said, I would like to see him continue to fight the best at 154, but he still needs to fight Boots. I think that, of course, Boots would have to move up to 154. He said on several occasions for a Terence Bud Crawford fight, he is willing to move up to 154 pounds. And I think that is the biggest money fight at 154 besides Errol Spence or Jermell Charlo. It is what it is. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure you hit my like button, subscribe to the channel, and y'all already know how I do. Jago talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.